1, 2, 3. Test, test. Test 1, 2, 3. I'm on. Thank you.
I'd like to welcome you to the Namakwa Unitarian Universalist Congregation. We're so glad that you're here. We're testing, yeah, I'm coming across. I'm Doug Stewart, and I'm your worship associate today, and I'm joined here, and I'm so happy to be joined here by Reverend Lydia Ferrante-Roseberry, who serves as our community minister. And for this service, we bring a theme of this being a year's end contemplation. This is a come as you are congregation, and you are welcome here just as you are, with your beliefs as well as your wonderings and your doubts. We are a group of seekers of truth and meaning, and the questions themselves are important to us. I want to extend a special welcome to any visitors, if we have any visitors or newcomers today. We would love to stay connected, and so if you would like, you can sign up for our communication at the main entrance. We'll send you an email each week and let you know what we're up to. Here at Namakwa, we foster a beloved community that celebrates diversity, strives for peace and justice, and acts mindfully for the good of the planet to inspire spiritual growth through a free and loving search for truth and meaning. This is the mission statement we gave ourselves, and which I have never been able to memorize. As part of our striving for peace and justice, we honor the ground beneath us and acknowledge this land as the traditional and ancestral homeland of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Ute nations and peoples. We recognize and honor the indigenous peoples as original stewards of this land. We vow to work toward addressing this wound and the other deep wounds that shape our world today. I have a few announcements for us. If you're a newcomer and interested in knowing more about Namakwa or Unitarian Universalism, right after the service today, we're holding a Getting to Know You session in the minister's office, just in the next building over. So grab a cup of coffee in the social room and head over to the minister's office in the building behind us to get your questions answered. This coming Friday, it's our turn to serve for the Loveland Community Kitchen, serving food from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. And if you can help out on that, let Sue Matthews know here. Sue, yep, thank you. That's for the Loveland Community Kitchen. We have an adult enrichment class that's starting in mid-January. The Power of Myth is a 6-session PBS series in which journalist Bill Moyers interviews Joseph Campbell. And Joseph Campbell is a renowned mythologist. He promotes myths as having keys to the human experience. Each session, we'll watch a 1-hour episode and then discuss our takeaways from watching. This starts January 17th, and there's on the back of your order of service, there's something you can hold your phone over to sign up, or you can look at our email blast each week and sign up from there. Next Sunday is our annual Decade service, in which worship associates Kathi Hartman and Milt Pinos will lead us in hearing from congregants in each decade of their lives. This is a very popular service for us. Responding to Mary Oliver's question in a poem she wrote, "Tell me, what is it you will do with your one wild and precious life?" After the service today, please join us next door for coffee and social time. I'd like to thank everyone who's been involved in the service, our tech team, hospitality, SLIP, of course, and just everybody, the ushers, everybody that's helping out. Please join me now in saying our congregational affirmation. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service its call. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love,
and to help one another.
And let us take a minute to share the spirit of love by greeting those around you. Please rise if you're willing and able, and we'll sing our opening hymn, For All That Is Our Life. Anybody young at heart as well? Not everyone. Kind of shy? All right, that's fine. All right, good. This is Squirrel's New Year's resolution. And so, what the heck is a resolution? Squirrel pinned up her brand new nut of the month calendar. It's January 1st, the radio said. A great day to make a resolution. Make a resolution, wondered Squirrel. How do you do that? Bear might know. She went to see Bear at the Lonewood Library. Happy New Year, Bear said. Same to you, Bear. Do you know how to make a resolution? Is making a resolution like making a snack? Bear laughed. Resolutions are more important than snacks. More important than snacks, said the Squirrel. What is a resolution? A resolution is a promise you make to yourself to be better or to help others, Bear said. When we begin a new year, we make a fresh start. Wow, did you make a resolution? Asked Squirrel. I did, Bear answered. I resolved to teach others how to read. I'm going to teach Skunk as soon as she gets well. Oh no, Skunk is still sick, Squirrel thought, as she hurried to Skunk's house for a visit. She forgot all about making a resolution. Skunk was sick of being sick. I'm stuck in bed until Dr. Owl says I'm better, said Skunk. I would rather be learning to read. That's my New Year's resolution. Squirrel knew how to cheer up her friend. She hid at the foot of the bed. She popped up and shouted, "Boo!" Skunk giggled. Hide and skunk was her favorite game. Squirrel popped up again. "Boo!" And again, "Boo!" By now, Skunk was lecking hard. Just then, Dr. Owl came by. I'm running out of voices. "Skunk, I can tell by your laughter that you are feeling much better," he said. "Now you can visit Bear and learn to read. Just make sure you have a healthy lunch first." Lunch, thought Squirrel. She headed up towards the hidey hole diner. Maybe someone there can help me with my resolution. At the diner, Squirrel chose a stool next to Porcupine. He looked grumpy. "What's wrong?" asked Squirrel. "I've resolved to be less grumpy, so now I'm going to laugh more, but I can't think of anything funny." "I can help you think of something funny. Like, why did the squirrel run back and forth across the road?" "I don't know why." "Why?" said Porcupine. "Because she was nuts," laughed Squirrel. Porcupine laughed too. Porcupine said, "That's a good one. I'd better write these down." Off he went to find a paper and pencil. But that left Squirrel sitting alone. Squirrel felt left out. Porcupine has a resolution. So do Bear and Skunk. She thought, I'm the only animal in the forest who hasn't made a New Year's resolution. Rabbit came to take Would you like to try my New Year's special? Sure, said Squirrel. Maybe it will help me make a resolution. I wish I knew how. Think of it as a way to improve yourself, or a way to use what you're good at to help others, said Rabbit. Squirrel ate her lunch special and thought hard. Just then Skunk came in, whose voice I completely forget. I need a healthy lunch. Thanks to Squirrel, I'm feeling better. Sit with me, Skunk, Bear called. I see you brought our first book. Porcupine again. You know why Bear said, caw, caw. Before anyone could answer, Porcupine said, he was learning another language. Caw, caw. All the animals laughed, unlike humans. I didn't know it. There's another character. I didn't know you were so funny, said Mole. Me neither, said Porcupine. Squirrel got me started. Rabbit said to Squirrel, you're doing a good job on your resolution. I didn't know I had one, said Squirrel. Your actions are better than words. It looks like you resolved to help someone every day, said Rabbit. Really? Asked Squirrel. I did it. I made my very first resolution. Hooray for Squirrel, shouted all the animals. It was going to be a very happy New Year. Maybe if young ones would like to join, they're welcome to stay, but we do have time for children in the next building over if you want to go out. And it's a good time for us to make an arch and just practice our new song too as well. You want to head out? Let's stand and make an arch and sing our new song.
We send our children off with love, short and tall, we love them all. We send our children off with love, we hope they know how cherished they are. We hope they accomplished they are.
Thanks to Miriam Fox for that song.
He needs some mic help, doesn't he? Yeah, you were very quiet. That's why. Perhaps you really didn't want people to hear all your animal noises, Doug. Well, beloveds, it's delightful to be here today. I am the community minister for this congregation, and I don't come up here as often as I would like. I live about 50 minutes away, so it's a bit of a stretch, but whenever I'm here, I just feel the joy and love of this congregation. So next Friday, like this coming up Friday, is January 1st already. Like, wow, they say the years go by more quickly each year, and I can testify to that. The first month of the year, January, is named after the Roman god Janus, who was the guardian of doorways and arches. And there were several important temples to Janus also in antiquity, Roman antiquity. Janus had two heads, as you'll see on the coin that's depicting him, one looking backwards and one looking forwards. And you can see how that would be helpful to have a god who was looking backwards and forwards in the doorways in a civilization that was constantly at war. Some scholars regard Janus as the god of all beginnings. He was invoked as the first of any of the gods in Roman religious liturgies. And the beginning of the day, month, and the year were all sacred to Janus. Now, the Romans spent a lot of time trying to remain in favor with all of their gods through rituals and sacrifices, a few, bloodlettings, all those things. They did that pretty regularly. They did that on the regular. Across the Aegean Sea, however, the Greeks developed practices around developing a moral code for living. So the Romans were just trying to appease the gods and gain their favor, and the Greeks were like, hey, how do I live a good life? So as the turn of this year approaches, we tip our hats to the two-faced Roman god, not in the form of any kind of human sacrifices, so y'all are safe here. But we acknowledge the wisdom of looking backwards and looking forwards. But we'll also add the sensibilities of Greek philosopher Socrates, who said, the unexamined life is not worth living. So let's light our chalice today, symbol of each of our individual lights that when joined together can light our way in these dark days.
And we'll sing now. You can rise, and we'll sing Find the Stillness. Check that I'm on. Yes, good. I've come to notice a problem with my New Year's resolutions. They tend to accumulate. They add up over time. I noticed this past year that they had started taking over my life. Years ago, I was inspired by Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way, to start my day by writing what she calls morning pages. These aren't so much of a diary or a journal as free-form stream of consciousness writing. My morning pages do tend to be diary-ish, but I found it freeing to give myself permission to just write down whatever came to mind. It helps me order my day, and I've stuck with it now for years. Then, 3 years ago, some of my grandkids were trying to learn German by using a phone application called Duolingo. And I'm pretty lousy at languages or voices. But I thought I could at least get more familiar with Spanish for like 5 minutes a day. What is that? So that became another daily resolution. Oh, and exercise has always been important to me, taking care of my body. So I've had a long-standing resolution about that. I give myself a little safety valve there that I only have to exercise 6 of the 7 days a week. But still, most days, it's another thing on my growing daily checklist. And then last year, our former music director, Ryan Marvel, inspired my wife to start piano lessons. And with a piano in the house, I felt I really should help put it to use. So there's another daily practice. Recently, I realized I wouldn't start, and then I'm not talking about Wordle or connections, so recently I started realizing that I wasn't feeling good about my day until after my checklist was all done. That was taking me most of the morning. I think it was Vicki Clark who mentioned exercising care around shoulds. I was shoulding all over myself. Even worse than pushing myself through the day, I wasn't getting to something that I deemed important. There's some writing that I've been trying to do in the background for years about caring. I hold that caring, like love, is undefinable in any concrete terms. And writing about caring has been challenging for me, which is what makes it interesting and perhaps worthwhile to try. But by the time I got through with all my daily resolution checklists, if I got through them, I was too doing weary to give any quality time to writing. And it has languished terribly. Sometimes months have gone by. The urgent had become an enemy of the important in my life. So, just a couple of weeks ago, I reordered my day. Morning pages still comes first, because that really does help me get my head around the day ahead of me and the week ahead. Then I sit down and try to write a little about caring. Any of those other resolutions that get done that day are goodness, but I'm no longer requiring myself to do all of them every single day. It's been really freeing. It's the story that you may have heard about big rocks first. You know that one, where the teacher is in front of the class and fills a large glass beaker with big rocks. After filling it, the teacher asks the class, "Can I put any more in?" And the class responds, "No, it's full." At which point, the teacher takes out a bag of pebbles and shakes them into the beaker. "Can I put more in?" The class isn't so sure now. The teacher brings out a bag of sand and sifts it into the beaker. "More?" the teacher asks, and then the teacher pours water in. The teacher then asks, "What can we learn from this?" "That we can always put more in," one of the students tentatively ventures. No, says the teacher. Put the big rocks in first. In my life, carving out quality time for writing about caring is a big rock of high value. As we make our resolutions, let's put our highest value resolutions in first. The rest we can kind of shake in as they fit or leave for another day. We come together each week to share our lives and to care for one another through all that life brings. If you have a brief personal joy or sorrow you would like to share, please come forward or raise your hand for me to bring you the mic. I will also share the written comments. Oh, we didn't do that, never mind. Those of you online, please share your comments in the chat and our Zoom host will read them aloud. This year, this service, I'd like to begin by remembering people who we lost this past year, who are no longer with us, and follow that with a moment of silence for each. Let us remember Dick Barton. Let us remember Dick Clark. Tom Clark. Thank you. Before we move into our usual joys and sorrows, are there other people who you have lost this year who you would like to name? Anyone?
I lost my mother this year, Mirella Ferrante.
A friend, Shannon.
My niece, Kenya.
Dr. Tony Koski from CSU.
Elizabeth Corbett from Tennessee.
My dear friend, Carol.
A grandson and his wife lost a child in utero 2 weeks before birth. Mickey?
From Marcia Lewis, I lost my cousin Louise.
Marcia Lewis's cousin Louise. Anyone else? Louis. Louis, thank you. All right. Another moment of silence, please. Can we take a deep breath in and let it out? One more deep breath in and let it out. And finally, one more deep breath in and let it out. Other joys and sorrows.
I am Mary Ellen, and my joy is that my husband Clay is doing so much better, and so he was still sleeping when I came, and we want to thank everybody for your incredible support for us this week. Thank you so much.
Wanted to say that Jeanette Vizguera was let out of the ICE facility down in Aurora here. She one of Time's 100 most influential people back in 2017, out on bail.
Mine is kind of a combined joy and sorrow because my uncle passed away also the week before Christmas, and we had not scheduled a trip to St. George to see my parents, but with his funeral a week ago, we went ahead and drove over, and the really nice thing was that he was ready to go, and all his family was there, and it was very, very nice to just be there with everyone for his service. The other part is, as my niece, I mentioned my niece, passed away last summer, was very close to her, and it was the kind of death that was disturbing and very difficult. And I wanted to go to her grave for the first time since then. And I told my sister, her mother, and she said, I want to go too. So she and I went. Her husband went, my parents went, Roger went with us, another brother-in-law and his daughter. So we all went there, and I took chairs for my parents, but I also took a little blanket, and my sister and I sat on the blanket, and then we just talked together. Sorry, it was very, very sweet because she told me things about the last day that I had not been aware of, and really helped how I felt about the whole thing, and I think it helped her too, for us to just sit there and talk about it. And it was a beautiful day, and the sun was out, and it was a beautiful area, and it was just very, very healing for me, and I think all of us there. So it was a joy and a sorrow there. Thank you.
For the joys and sorrows that have been expressed, and for the ones that we hold in our heart, let's take another round of meditative breathing. Breathe in deeply. Exhale, exhale. Another deep breath in, please. And let it out. And one last deep breath in, and we'll let it out, and then we'll listen to Slip play for us a bit.
any indication, humans since the time of antiquity have had a propensity for reflecting upon the past year and then envisioning the future just at this time of year. Not everyone, of course. But I believe that making the turn of the year a contemplative practice can be a joyful gift that you give yourself. Last week, I joined a Zoom solstice art and creativity session. We gathered, each of us, so kind of across the country. Our facilitator led us in some opening exercises and opening words, and then we spent about 45 minutes just creating on our own. I took the time to reflect upon the last year using collage. It was bliss. It was so good for my soul. And it was actually something I probably wouldn't have taken the time to do if I hadn't had this appointment to be doing it with other people. And at one point we talked about the magic that there was about doing our own creative projects, but somehow together. This kind of sense of like solitude in community, and it can have an amplifying effect. So today I'm offering some contemplative time here for your own reflection, right here in the nest of this beloved community. A few years ago, I stumbled upon something called Year Compass. Has anybody heard of it? No fair, because we talked about it last week. That was Doug. It is something that on New Year's Eve, probably around the year 2010, 2011, a few Hungarian friends made a little booklet of questions for themselves for their own year-end reflection. So that's what they did on New Year's Eve together. Somebody made a little booklet and they all reflected on it. And it went viral in 2012. Since then, it's become an international movement with more than 500 volunteers in 61 countries. Today, the Year Compass booklet is available in 52 different languages. You can download it, it's free online, and it had 2 million downloads last year. It has become one of my almost annual practices because, like Doug, I have a lot of practices. And so I have to give myself a lot of grace. The link to the booklet is on the screen, and I've also sent it into the newsletter in case this service piques your interest. So I was saying it's almost my yearly practice because I don't often make time for it. But we all know that time, we don't find time, we do make time. We all have the same 24 hours of every day, and we actually have a decent amount of control over how we fill it. So while I'm not intentional about it, when I'm not intentional, it's really easy for me to fill my time with all those inconsequential sands and let the big rocks lay on the sidelines. So for me, intentional and contemplative times are my big rocks. I have daily practices, monthly, seasonal, annual, and they help me remain connected to what's truly important in my life. So today we're going to start with looking back. In the pews, you have some blank paper, and those of you, where's my Zoomies? Zoomies online, if you could find yourself some paper and something to write with, that would be fabulous. And so there's papers and pens. If you don't have one, you either got one coming in or if you don't have one. While you're getting yourself settled, I'll share this quote from Wendell Berry, who said, "A change of heart or of values without a practice is only another pointless luxury of a passively consumptive way of life." A pointless luxury of a passively consumptive way of life, which is a little barbed, but all that to say is that there's a power in intention if we really want to make change. So for now, I'm going to invite you to take a few moments to settle into your seat and begin to just pay attention to your own breath, your own being here in community. Just pay attention to it as it is. Just notice breathing in and out. And now allow your inhalations to get a little longer, followed by a little longer exhalation. And just allow, there's no right or wrong here, just allow yourself to be present. And when you feel settled and relaxed, begin to go through this past year in your mind's eye. What important personal events happened this year that impacted your life? A personal move, the loss of someone you love, maybe a special family reunion or vacation, a new job, a new family member, a new friend. Jot these down on your paper if you wish, just a few things that really marked this year. Now I'm going to offer three questions to spark some reflection on this past year. Slip will play about a minute of music in between each one as you write. And after these three questions, we'll have some time to actually hear from maybe one or two of you very briefly, because we're going to do it again, looking at the year going forward. Could you show the next slide, please? Oh, there it is. The first slide is, what are you most grateful for this year? Wrap your thoughts up on that question, knowing that you can go back to it, and we'll dig into this next one. What's the biggest lesson you've learned this year? And the final one for looking back is, what are you most proud of this past year? time. Would anyone like to share briefly anything that arose for them in those questions? We'll have time to take a couple of, so Kathi, and then there's a woman, and I don't know your name, but.
So my answer to question 1 and question 3 are the same, and that is that my son Nathan is doing really, really, really well.
Someone over, we'll take 3 actually, because I can't help it when people want to talk.
Hi, I'm Pamela. I am trying to finish my degree at UNC, and I was transferring credits, and it took so long, almost a year and a half, and not all of them transferred. So I took a bunch of 7 challenge tests, and I passed 6 of them. So it was almost a whole semester of just challenge tests. And that's something that I'm super grateful and happy.
Congratulations.
Yay.
I've had my dog for 8 years, and we live in a van together, and we never spend time apart. I'm only apart from him so I can go grocery shopping. I grew up with him. I've been through homelessness with him. And in September, I took him to an emergency vet, and he had a huge growth that was about to explode. But he doesn't have cancer. It was all the risk factors for cancer. It looked like cancer, but it wasn't cancer.
That's awesome. What an event. So the final page of this booklet, looking back at the year past, invites people to say farewell to the year that's passed. Take a deep breath and give it some rest. So let's just all wave goodbye, 2025. For all its joys and all its challenges, we're ready to say goodbye. I'm personally quite ready to say goodbye to 2025. So yeah, a few more people maybe, right? Goodbye to 2025, all its challenges, all its gifts. And let's take a good few breaths together to release what's left of 2025. Take another deep breath and let it out with a big sigh. And in case any of this contemplative time left you shoulding on yourself, take another big deep breath and let it out with a really big sigh. And be grateful for all the beauty that there was in this year. Doug?
Each week, you support the work of this congregation and all the ways we live our values in the world through your own generosity. In addition to supporting this church, a portion of your donations support a local nonprofit organization helping to make a difference beyond our walls. During the months of November and December, we are sharing our plate with Neighbor to Neighbor, quoting from their website, for homelessness through home ownership, Neighbor to Neighbor provides sustainable housing, supportive services, and education to families and individuals. As we give our offering, we'll listen to Slip Play Auld Lang Syne, and if you like, you can join in singing.
I'll play a little piano first, and I might repeat some songs because it's short.
Not bad. We're fine.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and old lang syne? For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne. We'll take a cup of take a cup of kindness, yet full lang syne.
So now to move on to the other side of Janice's head that's looking forward. So the book of Proverbs says, without vision, people perish. Have you heard that before? Maybe any of you know anything about the Bible here in this UU congregation? Well, what I find to be more true is it's not that people perish without vision, but without vision, people languish. Yesterday I was listening to This American Life, and I heard about the Your Life in Weeks chart created by Tim Urban on the blog Wait But Why. Did anybody else hear that yesterday? It's on a CPR, Colorado Public Radio program. So this chart is a powerful visual about the preciousness of each of our lives. I mean, if we think about time and the infinite sense of time that goes back millennia and billions of years, our lives are really tiny in that. And so imagine a chart that has 52 boxes across and 90 boxes down. Can you see that? Like it's a chart, 52 across, 90 down, there's little boxes in each one. So that's how many weeks you have in your life if you live to 90, which of course we know not everybody does, and some people live beyond 90. And in this visual, the invitation is to check off every single week. And so you begin to see your life and how much you've spent and how much is left. And he likes to imagine that each of those little things is a diamond that you are holding, this preciousness of a diamond. And what are you going to do with that diamond that you have of each week of your life? It's a pretty stark visual about our mortality, for sure. And he talks about, and it helps to clarify, how do you want to spend your weeks, your months? What are you working towards? Tim Urban describes the ideal week as having a good mix of using your time for enjoyment and using your time for improving your future or the lives of others. When you don't do either of these, he calls these a neither week. All of us have neither weeks. We all have days and months, even months that don't meet the mark. But it can be a sign of that languishing, or maybe just not appreciating the very gift we have of this life. For me, it's always a sign that more self-reflection is needed. As I was preparing for this service, I looked back at some of my old year compass booklets, because I've been doing this for a while, not every year, and realized there were more than a few unrealized hopes from previous years, things I'd written down that I was sure I was going to do. They'll go in this year's booklet, no doubt, and there will be a reminder for me of what my best self really wants, and of our human condition that perpetually falls short of our highest aspirations. So it is for being human. But for me, having these aspirations, but taking them lightly, can evolve into a beautiful conversation with myself, especially when these hopes, like a finally uncluttered office, or more time with friends, or a revised will and estate plan, when these continue to remain on the sidelines of my life, like, what's that about? I can ask myself just gently, What are the obstacles that are getting in the way of realizing what it is that I really want or that is really good for me and my future or the future of those I love? So we're going to embark on some of that visioning together in solitude and see where it takes you. Here's your first prompt. The first two are going to come in triplets. I am ready to let go of these three things this year. Wrap that up. And here's your second prompt. I will pamper myself with these three things regularly this year. And wrap that up. And the final little prompt for your future year is, this year I will say yes when... Well, I hope that got something stirring in you about what your coming year might look like. And is there anyone who would like to share a thing or two briefly?
I would just like to ask a question. I really stumbled on the third say yes when.
Mm-hmm.
And I only came up with when I am comfortable or can do it.
Perfect.
I couldn't find anything else.
That's perfect. That's a real honoring of yourself. Yeah.
Well, I always feel like I say yes, and that's my problem.
You know, there's another question in there that says, this year I will say no to
You
these
know
things.
what?
There
No,
is.
you
So
really-
get the booklet. You can fill all that no part
I'm
out,
gonna do
okay?
it, I'll say yes. But no, I said, I will say yes when my body and spirit says rest.
Beautiful. beautiful. Saying yes to rest is a huge gift you give yourself. Anyone else have any parts of this they wanted to share? Oh, links?
This past year and in general, I've been just really angry and hateful, and I just really want to let go of that. And I want to try to get out more and not be so lazy. And I also want to eat less junk food. So.
Great things to let go of. Oh my gosh. I'd love for you to meet my son. He's got some of the same letting go to do. Anyone else have anything they wanted to share? Well, I certainly hope this has enabled you to just spend some time here in community, but also in your own thoughts. Imagine this amplifying, this contemplative time. Maybe it'll pique your interest to go further and explore. The booklet ends with, I'll give you some, what do you call, what's it called? You know, when you tell the ending of something.
Spoiler.
Thank you, spoiler alert. The booklet ends with having you come up with your word for the year. It also, in the looking back, it ends with, if last year, if 2025 was a book or a movie, what would the title be? So you just think about those things for yourself. And I hope this has piqued your interest to do some more of this reflective time, because an unexamined life truly is not worth living. So let's examine our lives and take in the preciousness of this gift that we have and use each day for both the enjoyment of life and also to build the common good. May it be so.
Let's rise and we'll sing our closing hymn, Go Lift It Up. I invite you to join hands or link arms as you are comfortable doing so, whatever works for you. Are you comfortable holding hands, Link? Here we go. Oh, we have a little inner circle here. This is not intentional. And imagine our beautiful circle going out into the world. Next week, you'll be talking about what do you wish to do with your one wild and precious life, and you'll hear those stories. I leave you with that question now as you look towards this coming year and say goodbye to the year past, all its beauty and all its challenges. The world needs us to bring our best selves into the endeavor of life. May we go forth and do so. Blessed be.